We are at the Philly Folk Song Society with Jordie, who's going to be playing here tonight, and really looking forward to meeting you and learning all about you, man. So let's just start off. Where you from?
I'm from a little further afield. Yeah, I'm from Melbourne, Australia.
Nice.
So I don't know what that is from here, about 20,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So how did it all start out? You're a kid. You just started playing an instrument.
Well, it's funny. This room they put us in has got a bunch of ukuleles on the wall, and I gravitate to that because this is the first instrument I played. My dad was teaching ukulele at my school. From the first day I went to school, I was really upset. He dropped me off and then came back at lunchtime with a sack of ukuleles, teaching the kids, and I thought it was my first day of independence away from my dad. But anyway, yeah, this was the first instrument I learned.
Well, do you keep playing it though? You seem like you're at home with it. It looks like you know what you're doing.
Not really. I can't really get that full-on strum. I play it more like finger picking.
Oh, nice.
That kind of finger picking blues, but it's not so great for ukuleles. But anyway.
But how about your dad? Did he play for a long time?
He still does, but he's more a clown, really.
My kind of guy.
He started a circus, a children's circus.
Oh, for real?
He trained with Nanjing acrobats in China.
Oh, wow.
He, you'll see him, probably half his life wearing clown makeup. Yeah.
Will he be here tonight?
He will not. He's
okay.
way back home in Melbourne.
So what happened? So you played music.
Yep.
How did it all start? How did it all begin?
Well, yeah, I had parents being theatrical, but they weren't so much into music. So it was like my best friends at school when we were 10 years old. One of them, Simon, he was like right into music and the idea of being a rock and roll star, and so he kind of showed me the ropes at the age of 10, like this is something we should do. So we formed a band, started playing Beatles covers.
What were you playing? What instrument?
Guitar. So it was ukulele up until the age of 9 or something, and then I begged my dad for a 6-string guitar, and so I got an electric guitar with an amp and went straight into trying to play like Jimi Hendrix, but never really got there.
What was the part that made you decide you're gonna hit the road, you're gonna make a career out of this?
I think when we were like 12 years old in that band, we were super serious about, we didn't have any life experience or know what we were talking about, but we were very serious about it. Then when I finished high school, I had a couple of years of doing nothing, my mum trying to get me off the couch, and then I did a comedy show with her in the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. She's a comedian, and so she basically forced me to be in a show with her as a means to get me off the couch. It was an ultimatum. It was that or I'm kicking you out of home. So that was what really made me get into the professional side of actually performing on stage.
It sounds fascinating having parents with the careers that they had.
Yeah.
Or have.
Yeah.
Continue to have.
So like myself and my little sister grew up very much knowing the hardships or the ups and downs of the entertainment industry, like on a financial level, on an emotional level. And so we got that kind of insight into how that world works. But as far as the music business goes, no one in the family had a clue how that works. So yeah, that was just learning and still learning.
So you have a few CDs out already.
Yeah.
And did you start putting them out in Australia when you were younger?
Yep. Yeah, like we did make a record when we were 12 years old.
Really?
I didn't.
Wow.
I'm not counting that as part of my releases. It's now, it's nowhere to be found except,
It's a collector's item. So you have how many CDs you said? Yeah,
I think it's 8 now.
Wow.
Like including a couple of collaboration albums in under different names, but I've done 4 or 5 full-length albums under Jordie Lane. And now this latest one, Glassell Land, is finally out in America.
Now what? That's you were telling me before. That's not a common word, at least in these parts. Is
it's like a weird spelling. It's got something like 4 L's in the name. There's a place in northeast LA called Glassell Park, and there was this artist who made this sign, like a replica of the Hollywood sign, and put it up on like this hill that's only like 8 feet high, and so it's kind of like this tongue-in-cheek joke version of the Hollywood sign, but it says Glassell Land, and that was the first town that we worked and wrote and then recorded this album in. So it was just this kind of weird.
Were you living out there?
Yeah, so we were myself and Claire Reynolds, who is a songwriter and producer, and we were there on and off for the last couple of years and made the record, and then now we've finally got out of La La Land, and now we're based out of Nashville.
So the songwriting is what it all comes down to for you? Is that what everything is that a big part of what you do?
It is, but it isn't. Like, I think my true love is like probably coming from the influence of my parents, like them being like a clown and a comedian. It's probably just that simple human element of like wanting attention, performing on stage, like, and sharing a story with an audience and giving and getting back from them. That's
Did you write all of the songs on your album?
It's about 50-50, like half of it I wrote alone and then the other half with Claire Reynolds. So,
but they're all original.
All original songs, and that's pretty much what I've done since I was 12 years old. Like, we played so many Beatles songs. I think we'd sung all the cover songs we could.
Well, so now you're on tour. You just come from Boston, you said?
Yeah, we're in Boston, and then we're also doing a whole bunch of radio stations en route from Nashville, big loop up through like Ohio, then so Cincinnati, Cleveland, Buffalo, Albany, Boston, then through to Woodstock, and then down here. And then, we go all around.
Is that Claire downstairs?
That is, yes.
That's Claire,
you met Claire. Yep. So she plays keys and sings and writes, and songwriting is definitely her number one thing that she does. So she's co-writing with and for a lot of different artists, like in different genres, like pop, hip hop.
How did you guys become partners in this business?
She invited me to play a show that she was running back in Australia. She's Australian also, and it was like a songwriters in the round thing, and it was such a great night that she put on, and then we just decided to try and write a song one day. It was really easy, and then we just found we could sing together in a way that we sort of hadn't found with anyone else before, and it just kept kind of trickling into different things. We ended up doing a musical together, playing like Graham Parsons and Emmylou Harris, and that was where we really kind of learnt a little more about kind of singing country-ish style harmonies, because we had to try and sound like Graham and Emmylou. So,
well, when do you decide to make the move to the States?
Claire probably first travelled in 2009, and I first came out in 2010. But it was sort of like a holiday, visiting friends. My little sister studied in New York as well, and so there was just a lot of, essentially just being a tourist. and kind of sussing the place out, seeing if we liked it. And then 2013 was when I first got work permits and started touring and stuff. Yeah, predominantly on the West Coast, and now we've started to really come over to the East. Yeah.
Nice. Where do you go after this?
We head back up to New York, then back over to Nashville and Los Angeles, and then we've got a huge Australian tour.
Oh, nice. Sure, as soon as you get a place in Nashville, you're leaving.
Yeah, that's what they all do. Everyone's, yeah.
So what's the social media? How can you be found?
Hopefully easily enough. The spelling of my name, it's Jordie, Jordie. No, I've got to get my R's right in America. No one can ever understand it. JORDIELANE. Is that a really bad? That's a pretty bad American accent.
No, that's all right.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they're all just at Jordie Lane Music.
So we'll write it down on there. So
Sure.
for people who don't understand my southern accent as well.
Put some subtitles down.
So when you write songs, you say sometimes you write them on your own, like by yourself, and sometimes with your partner. Is it much of a difference in the approach when you do it by yourself or with someone else?
Like, I'm not that aware of the process that I do myself, because all I know is that I have to kind of float off into a sort of dreamy landscape that feels like very personal and all I know is that when someone comes into the room and I'm in the middle of that state, I get kind of angry and agitated because it's sort of in this sleepy, dreamy state, and so I often like to write in the middle of the night, and sort of to the point where you're exhausted and really thirsty and hungry, so you kind of, your mind starts to go a little bit wacky, and I like doing that, whereas when I'm writing with anybody else, and Claire, it's the same, it's like you have to actually be present with that person to try and connect with them at least on some level, so that you can come to working out what each other wants to say.
So it's a pretty big, different approach.
Yeah, and I think people who are used to doing the co-writing thing more often, they would find more of a structure, but I've seen the performing live as, a profession that I've worked out how to get through it, but the songwriting, I still kind of left it as this sort of unknown entity that I'm not very, I don't have a schedule or anything like that.
Well, you have the new album out, the new
Yes.
CD, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of that tonight.
Yep.
The new CD.
Yep.
Do you pull out some of the old stuff? It sounds like you have a very large library of things. Are you playing stuff from the past often as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you've got 5 CDs for sale, you want to sell all of them.
Sure, exactly. Good point.
No, when someone just says, what songs did you play tonight? What CD were they off? We're like, all of them.
All of them, right.
You got no choice. Got to have one. There's a lot of songs, plenty from my first album that I still play every night because I love those songs. I love how it connects with the audience, and I just love the feeling I get singing them. So we play a little bit of everything, predominantly the new album.
Well, let's talk about the new album. Anything in particular that you want to say about it? Like, how were the songs that were written on this? Was it written? It was written here in LA.
Yeah.
In the United States.
Yeah.
And you were in LA. Were the songs all written out before you went into the studio, or do you do some of that while you're in the studio?
This one was very much like writing and recording became like meshed together as part of the same process, because we ended up like purchasing all the gear we needed to like build these kind of tear down simple studios in the spaces that we were living in. So we weren't in a traditional studio in any sense until mixing the record. And so, yeah, lots of
So you had time.
Yeah, and literally it was, you know, not a room exactly like this, but a one bedroom bungalow apartment where kitchen was where you are, you know, a record player here, and then the recording set up in the corner of the room, and a lot of the songs being written either sitting right at the recording gear and then pressing record within hours of that. Sometimes, you know, just go outside, had a beautiful yard out there, and you know, so it was very much written in a home space and recorded like that too, but it doesn't sound like a home recording because we worked so tirelessly at it, getting the right gear, the right microphone sounds, and then the right mixing engineer to make it sort of sound like it was, you know, $1 million studio.
Right.
So,
Right. Well,
yeah.
we look forward to listening to it tonight. It's
Yeah.
Jordie, Jordie Lane, LANE, .com.
That's it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Very good.